assemble away from the cliff, please, if you could. If I could ask you to do one thing, just assemble away from the cliff. And then if I could also ask anybody who's on the speaking program to just come up here by on or about the area of the dirt pile again, being super careful. I've got a couple of safety officers posted who are going to make sure nobody gets too close to the edge. All right, Big Roman, welcome. Thank you everybody for turning out today on what is a very special day and another great day where Norwich is celebrating forward progress. I'm Kevin Brown. I'm the president of the Norwich Community Development Corporation. Our organization leads the development in an economic sense of this city, but we get involved in community development as well, and things like this development that we are groundbreaking on here today. I'm extremely honored and proud to be here as the president of NCDC, but mostly Natowi Swampsuck Musquat. I am called Red Eagle, and I'm proud to be here as a Mohegan. Thank you. I've always believed that so much of life is about where you are, where you've been, and where you're going. I'll give you a second there. Sorry. All right. Our symbolism, our Mohegan tribal symbolism has the trail of life. And it represents the vines of New England, and it represents the rolling hills of New England. And it has dots on it at the peaks and the valleys of that circle of life. And that represents the people that you meet along the way. But the thing about it is it always circles back and connects, demonstrating that everything comes full circle. And as we stand here today, the long arc of history is demonstrated. That circle is connected by us being here today. Over 400 years ago, our tribal members were buried in the sacred burial ground on the high ground just over that way. And in the shorter arc of history, it took our tribe until just 20 years ago, under the leadership of many of the Mohegans that are here with us today, to buy that land back, raise a building, and return that land that was promised to be held sacred back to its sacred and honored condition. This is an extension of that effort. It's a natural extension of that effort. And in the short arc of history, about a decade ago, I had the good fortune to meet the former president of NCDC, Jason Vincent. And he and I were kindred spirits from the start. And to be honest with you, at that time, I didn't know just how important this project was to him. And so in a short arc of history, to be standing here today, I am standing on Jason Vincent's shoulders and the effort and the inspiration and the initiative that he had to help push this project to where we are today. And once again, in the long arc of history, 400 years ago, our ancestors, led by Chief Uncas, Sachem Uncas, were engaged in battle with the Narragansetts in these Great Plains, in the famous battle that ended here. And finally, we are here to groundbreak and mark the start of the home stretch for that journey, a good journey. Wegan Pumpenshaw, a good journey. We're celebrating the transformation of an amazing, picturesque, and historical piece of ground. And it's about the Mohegan tribe, and it's also about the people of Norwich. It's an opportunity for us to reflect where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. And making use of arts and culture, as I have been educated, trained, and inspired by Liz Shapiro, who's somewhere here in the audience, is just as important as bringing a business to town. It all comes together. This land is your land. This is a little corny, but it's going to end well. This land is your land. This land is my land. But yo mahikanoa watakino. This land is Mohegan land. So thank you all again for being here, being part of our community, and helping us celebrate this important milestone. I'm now honored to introduce a number of dignitaries this morning who are our partners and friends, and in some cases family. First, and let me just say up front, I'm going to miss somebody. So Mark, when I don't say your name, say your name, okay? We are very pleased to welcome members of my Mohegan tribe here on this ground on this day. We're joined by Mohegan Tribal Council of Elders Vice Chair Beth Regan, Yosu Yopui Nuyach. She is called Morning Deer, and she'll provide a tribal greeting here shortly. She's also joined by Council of Elders members Joe Smith, who also serves on the Norse Historical Society and was on the steering committee for this project, Phil Russell, and Marie Pino. They are joined here, and as well as Chris Painted Turtle Harris, who helped with the welcoming song that was drummed in, along with David Eichelberg, who joined him. And thank you, gentlemen, for that. We're also joined by Mohegan Councilman and Tribal Ambassador Mark Brown, Councilor Bill Quidgen, Councilman John Harris, and Councilwoman Pat LaPierre. And Councilwoman Sarah Harris. And I'm scanning, and a whole bunch of other important folks. I mean, and you all know, you're all here, we're all one family. The list goes on, and that's rightfully so. I'm glad that you all are here today for this event. And notably not here with us is Faith Davison, a longtime historian. Don't start nodding your heads or I'm gonna cry. You guys know better than that. A longtime historian and tribal archivist, and I'm going to say a good friend to me. Good times and bad. And if it wasn't for her retelling the story of this place, we wouldn't be standing here today. She was important in the very beginning to make sure that all of these folks with money and initiative and programs and passion to do this knew what they were talking about. And so we honor her today, and with the presence of her sisters, Cheryl Harris and Christine Murphy. Thank you. So as I said, though, this day was made special by a whole bunch of other folks, and we're going to go through a list of folks who have been critical to us being able to pull this off. I said last week at the YMCA, a vision without resources is just a hallucination, and we are well past that stage. We have equipment on site, we have ground broken, we have an unsafe cliff behind these folks right here. I just want to reiterate that as many times as I can, that you don't step back. And those resources and that support that we've received is critical. So I want to give each of the folks that were a part of that effort a chance to talk to us today. The first gentleman, throughout his career, has been advocating for residents of this state, both here in the state and in Washington, D.C. And as we came out of the pandemic and the nation began to figure out where to put money, we all know that the distressed community of Norwich, Connecticut was the right place to put some money. And so we'd like to thank our federally elected officials for being here, for always being with us, behind us and with us in all that we try to do. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Senator Blumenthal.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here with you, with members of our Hartford state delegation, with the Lieutenant Governor, and with my great partner and friend, a really great advocate, Joe Courtney, who lives and breathes this part of our state. His district comprises half of the whole state. So he's almost like a senator. Even though I know he's going to make fun of me, saying I'm from the House of Lords as opposed to the House of the People. You know, I got the memo about the shoes, but I must say that the terrain here is nowhere near as bad as it was when I first walked the Mohegan land, my introduction to the Mohegan tribe, with Chief Sturgis. He is very much on my mind and in my heart today. Chief Sturgis kept alive the flame of this tribe. He fought for recognition of this tribe's sovereignty. And I mention it because when Clipchamp Uncas died in 1683, it began the long, precipitous decline in the failure to recognize the Mohegan sovereignty. The more you learn about Uncas, the more impressed you are by him. Not just because he is said to have left from here to the other side of this gorge, but he was a military tactician. He was a leader of vision and strength and he embodied the dedication of Mohegan people to this land, a place of unsurpassed beauty that was treasured and revered by the Mohegan people. There is something about the spirit of this place, and that spirit is the endless goodness of the Mohegan tribe. Their reverence for history, but for that spirit that they have embodied, and it is the spirit of their sovereignty which he fought to preserve. I want to say how moved I am today to be here. I think it is a kind of turning point for Norwich, for the state, as well as for the tribe. And I want to thank the city of Norwich, Peter Neisner as mayor, all of the local leaders. The federal government invested $28 million as a result of the boost in federal funding that we saw throughout the state of Connecticut. It was the city of Norwich that decided to use $2.8 million of that money for this purpose, which shows its wisdom and its vision. And I will just say about vision, yes, a vision without resources isn't reality, but it's not just hallucination, it's a dream. And today we are seeing a dream come true because of the leadership of you, as chief, the Mohegan tribe, of all of the leadership of this great community. And I thank you on behalf of the entire state of Connecticut. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you again for your hard work on our behalf. We're also fortunate to have Congressman Courtney here with us, who also got the memo about shoes. This has become a running joke for those of you that haven't heard it. He was on site for a visit at a different location for a different reason, and he got a little something in his foot. So thank you for getting the memo. We appreciate all that Joe does for us. He is another champion at the federal level, and while there's no doubt the city has made the hard decisions about how to use the money, if it wasn't for the both of you, we wouldn't have the money to begin with. We appreciate it. Congressman Joe Courtney.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Kevin, for your kind words. And I did bring my Timberlands. I didn't last time I was here and got a nail. And got a good chance to sample Norwich's urgent care system, which was excellent. And but first of all, I just want to recognize the Mohegan drummers and as part of, again, the great reminder here today. We're doing something that obviously is really important in the immediate present as far as the development of our great community here, the city of Norwich, and it means a lot in terms of 2023. But obviously, it's a space that goes back to before Connecticut was even a colony. And again, the presence of the Mohegan tribe folks here, I think, is just so important to really underscore, the amazing value of what's actually happening here. And I just would sort of footstop a point that Senator Blumenthal made, which is that when the American Rescue Plan was passed about a year and a half ago, it was a very, contested bill in its entirety. And one of the aspects of it was particularly debated, which is whether or not the funds should go directly to municipalities and local communities, or whether or not it should be distributed either at the federal or the state level. And there was a bunch of us that were just adamant to make sure that we empowered communities like Norwich to make its own decisions about how to come out of the pandemic in terms of making enduring investments that are going to, again, upgrade and uplift the community. And this obviously is a perfect example that I think we made the right call in terms of giving the city of Norwich that decision. So the mayor and the city council and John Salamone, the really talented city manager, the ink was barely dry on the law, and they already had sort of a plan in terms of deploying those funds. And this was on that first cut in terms of making sure that a 10-year effort that had been ongoing in terms of trying to open this facility, that we capitalize on that moment in ARPA funds to get that done. Kevin has also been instrumental in terms of deploying those funds through the NCDC, and just last week we did one of these events at the YMCA in the center of town, which is going to be transformed, into a really vibrant space, unlike its present state of affairs. And again, ticked off the additional addresses in the city of Norwich, which are going to benefit in terms of the ARPA funds. And again, the focus has always been, in terms of the leadership of this community, is to make those investments enduring, to not make them sort of operational costs, which are just going to create a cliff that will create additional burdens, but to really do something that's going to last for a period of time. And again, I just really salute that wisdom that was deployed here. And I would just end by simply saying this is also part of a larger fabric in terms of the region. Lois Brunish is here from the Last Green Valley, which, as some of you know, is a heritage corridor that the Congress created back in the 1990s and has been reauthorized a number of times. It extends actually from the state of Massachusetts all the way down through this region, and this is going to be part of that incredible preservation and conservation effort that is connected both to the environment but also to our heritage and to our history. So again, in some ways, it's a connection to our Native American past, but it's also a connection to our environment in terms of developing this space so that people who will never know today are going to be enjoying it for decades and decades to come. So congratulations to all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Congressman. And I appreciate your theme of connectivity, because, the next step is to get funding to connect this location to your office downtown through an improved Heritage Trail. Just saying. We also now have, at the state level, some folks to thank and welcome. And first of all, I'd like to introduce someone who's been very committed, certainly to this region, but to the entire state for a long period of time, having served as a state representative, Secretary of State, and now as our Lieutenant Governor. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Governor Susan Bison.
Kevin, thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be here with our friends from the Mohegan Tribal Nation, to be here with two of the people I call our fairy godfathers of federal funding, Senator Blumenthal and Congressman Courtney, who have just been so instrumental in bringing resources to our beautiful state, to Mayor Nystrom and the folks from the city of Norwich, and everyone. It's great to be here with you to celebrate a project that brings together everything that is wonderful about Connecticut. This project embodies the best of Connecticut because it combines our indigenous history with our industrial history, with our beautiful environment, and with our leadership on arts and culture. And what is wonderful also about this project is not just about history, it's not just about having a beautiful cultural space, but it will also be great for business in Norwich, because people will be coming from all over to experience this beautiful place, and we hope that while they're here, they will be investing in the great businesses that are in Norwich. And it literally took a village to see this project through. It took our federal partners, it took our city partners in Norwich, and the state of Connecticut and our Department of Economic and Community Development played a key role, because it was our Community Investment Fund, our Urban Act, our Brownfield remediation funding that helped make this project a reality. So it just goes to show that if we are all willing to work together, we can be successful, and perhaps our senator and our congressman can take that message back to Washington. But this truly is a great day to celebrate, and Governor Lamont and I are very happy to be a partner in this effort. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Governor. And between your comments and Congressman Courtney's comments, it's refreshing and helpful in the introduction of our next speaker, because we do a lot of things. We at Norris Community Development Corporation, we attract glass factories, we turn over and remediate brownfields, we help build apartments. This is the bright spot. This is where it all comes together, and that linkage, quite honestly, I'm still taking tutelage from our next speaker on just how to make that linkage, but it's an important one. And it comes from the fact that you have to have a place where people want to live, work, learn, and play. And this place will help do exactly that. Ladies and gentlemen, at the state level, someone who's doing that on a daily basis, our next speaker, I'd like to bring up Liz Shapiro, the Director of Arts Preservation and Museums from the State Department of Economic and Community Development.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to bring my colleague up with me this morning because I'm so happy to be here today. And my colleague Anthony, who's the Director of Marketing for the state, has joined me here. We are honored to be here. And one of the things that I think is great about us being here, and I think Kevin teed this up really well, is that we don't always travel totally joined at the hip, but marketing, we try. Marketing, tourism, arts, culture, preservation, business, brownfields, all of the things come together. And we are so proud of the work that we've been doing with DECD to make sure communities understand that we're taking a holistic approach to what it is you all want to accomplish. Places hold so many layers of meanings, and I'm going to talk today a little bit with my history, preservation, and arts cap on today, because this place is one such place. And as we join here today, I think it's impossible not to think about the past, the history, the stories, the legends, the people of this place. And of course, the past holds complicated stories. They're stories of great joy and celebration, and of great tragedy and loss. And they can make us feel great, and they can make us feel pretty bad. I think history holds the best and the worst of what it means to be a human, and history and the past is complicated. But today, perhaps the best thing, the greatest thing about talking about history is that we, you, all, me, everyone here is making history anew every day. Today we're here to celebrate the next chapter of this place with a place of layered meaning. And we do it with great joy and great pride and great hope. Connecticut's indigenous people, you, the Mohegan tribal nation, are a foundation of the Connecticut story. The Connecticut story would not exist without you. This site is so filled with meaning for many of us, and it will only add to the rich opportunities that all the people of Connecticut and visitors to the state and tribal land can enjoy when they come and they can learn from this. I'm thrilled to be here today in the celebration, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Liz. Now as we get a little more regional and local and proximate, and we can keep doing that, we're going to keep funneling this down, I'd like to introduce folks here in the region who've been critical and responsive to us. And I have the pleasure of introducing someone now who really, for folks in the region, needs no introduction at all. She's incredibly important to all of us and a champion every day, all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, State Senator Kathy Austin.
So good morning, everybody. First, I'm going to introduce my colleague, Representative Doug Javitsky, and have him say a few words first. Doug?
Thank you. We seem to be doing a lot of these over the last couple of months. We just did a groundbreaking last week over at the YMCA, and what that shows is momentum. It shows value that we're getting from our federal delegation, state delegation, that they're giving back some of your money, and it's being used wisely by Mayor Nystrom and the elected representatives locally. And it shows that it helps grow not only the city of Norwich, but our whole region. It becomes an engine when you get some of your money back from the feds, from the state, and it's used wisely by the city. And I just want to say thank you, because all this money, federal money, state money, local money, it's all your money. And thank you for contributing to this project, and hopefully this project will contribute to the growth and the engine of this whole region.
Thanks so much, Doug. And both Representative Wilson and Representative Ryan could not be here today, but they both wanted to be here today. So I want to take off from what Liz Shapiro talked about as the foundation of Connecticut being the Native American history. And let's really talk about that, because quite frankly, Connecticut hasn't always been the best partner with its Native communities. It just has not. And this is important for us to say, because this is only a small piece of us returning some of the wrongs that we committed against the Native American communities. And this is only the beginning. It is only the beginning. Many people think that our federally recognized tribal nations are recognized by their business entities, but they are not. They are recognized by history. They are recognized by the work that they do in the communities. They are recognized by the very basic what they provide to Connecticut, which is a pathway to where we started. A pathway to where we started. And it is not over. It is not over. I can't tell you how excited I am that this project has come to fruition. It has been sponsored by previous mayoral administrations, by previous legislators. Emmett Riley was a huge proponent of this project up in Hartford. He is not here today to see it come to fruition, but he did want to see this actually come to fruition. It is important for us to recognize our history, to honor our history, and to correct the ills of the past, and this is that one step. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy, for your passion for our Mohegan Tribal Nation. Next up, I'm happy to introduce a man who works night and day to improve this city. He's my partner in the effort. He's a leader. And as I said last week, he's the guy who has to have the courage to say, as Senator Blumenthal said up front, this is how we're going to use the money that the federal government gave us. And he, along with his colleagues on the council, made the hard decision that this is the right place to invest $2.8 million. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Peter Nystrom.
Thank you, Kevin. I remember the city's involvement actually began in 2010 when we acquired some property up on the hill over there. But actually, just before that, 2009, the tribal burial grounds were restored to Mohegan Nation up on the hill. And I can tell you that when this is completed, that site will be physically linked to this site, because we're going to do everything we can to make it possible that a passageway will be restored so that you can go from one site to the next, because really that's our obligation. It's about restoration, in my opinion. But people have mentioned Jason Vincent. I cannot help but think about him. He was passionate about this project back in 2013 when he organized a historic charrette at Norwich Free Academy Slater Museum in the hall there. To see it now come to fruition to this point right now, I know that man is smiling with us. I know he's with us here today. So I want to say thank you, Jason. But I also want to thank other people. Our city manager, John Solomon, strongest advocate for this site as a city manager that I've witnessed. This was something that he wanted to see achieved. So John, thank you very much. By the way, if anything goes wrong with the funds, it's his fault. No, literally, that's what the act says, but we won't let that happen. But the council members as well, our staff, I know Deanna Rose is here and so forth. I see so many different people that serve the city. Public Works, Norwich Public Utilities, my dear friend Chris Murtha of Mohegan Tribe. We served together for years on the Christopher Leffingwell Museum Board. Thank you for being here. This is a great day for our city. It's a great day for this state, in my opinion, because when we're done, and I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, we want this to rise to the level of being acknowledged as a national park. We want that designation. We're going to achieve that designation. Mostly, I also want to thank our Mohegan neighbors. Without your involvement throughout this entire process, I don't think this day would happen. Put all the money in the world together, but if you don't have the right people who can help us design this place so that you can step back in history as to how it was then, that's what I love about Norwich. Past history, present history, future history, linking all of them. That's our strength. That's what I'm passionate about. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for taking part in this day. It's a momentous day here in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're almost done, folks. Hang in there, because we're going to get to the most special and most important part last. Next up, I'd like to introduce the folks who've really been the source of diligence and persistence through this decade that you've heard described over and over again to get us to this point here today, and that's the members of the Uncas Sleep Steering Committee. Today we have with us Mohegan Tribal Council Member Joe Smith, Norwich Historical Society Director Regan Miner, and the Director of Neighborhood and Planning Services for the City of Norwich, Deanna Rhodes. They'll come up now and provide some remarks. And if you go to your Webster's Dictionary and look up the word relentless.
Thank you, Kevin. Good morning, everyone. I'm just amazed by this turnout and so appreciative that you're here. I just want to go over a few things with you about the history of this site. This is really a momentous occasion, and I'm really privileged to share a little background with you today because of this milestone here for the city and for the tribe. I want to recognize a few important individuals and community partners who have been instrumental along the way. In 2007, Realtor and Norwich Historical Society member Bill Champagne listed this property for sale for the former owner, Malcolm Brown. It was listed for $300,000. Bill was aware of the historic significance of the site, and the late Bill Stanley introduced him to members of the Mohegan tribe. Several of them started informal committees, and Melissa Kandaquidjan-Zobel was one of the first to join Bill. Soon thereafter, former state representative Melissa Olson became part of the group, and they all agreed that it was imperative that there be representation for both the Mohegan tribe and the city of Norwich on their grassroots committee, if they really intended to move it forward. Stephanie Fielding and Elaine Thomas of the Mohegan tribe generously volunteered their time as well. These few and thoughtful, respectful individuals were the first to plant the seed for this park, and we are truly grateful for their foresight. If the committee members could please raise their hands so everyone could recognize them. Bill Block, thank you so much. You definitely have been a major contributor over the years. Bill lives in the neighborhood and has had great interest in the project. Thank you, Bill. Jump ahead a few years, and in 2010, the city of Norwich foreclosed on this property and the opportunity to preserve the site. The Norwich Historical Society then took the lead and enlisted the involvement of the State Historic Preservation Office, Connecticut Trust for Historic Preservation, which is now known as Preservation Connecticut, and also worked with the National Park Service. These agencies' recognition of this cultural significance of this property and
and their sincere interest validated and supported the work of the steering committee and their goals. We are appreciative of the continued support and technical guidance that they provided to us all along. The momentum for this project really kicked up a notch when the late Jason Vincent became involved, working for the Norwich Community Development Corporation. He successfully secured grant money for planning and environmental work here. I've been told that State Representative Emmett Riley, mentioned earlier by Kathy Austin, successfully lobbied on behalf of the community, and the city was awarded $500,000 from the state of Connecticut for this project. The actions of Jason Vincent and Representative Riley gave firm footing for the city to move forward, and they both deserve our thanks. With funds in place and continued support and guidance from the Uncas Steering Committee, the master plan process kicked off. SLR, formerly known as Malone and McBroom, was selected as the city's project consultant. I see Lon here today, raise your hand. I don't know where Mike is, if he's here or not, but we got Lon. SLR performed considerable and exceptional public service and outreach, and that we value their input that they collected from their efforts in the community. Their efforts helped to mold the amazing vision of the Uncas Heritage Park Master Plan, which is coming to fruition right now. They have believed in this project from day one and have been very visionary in their ideas and approach to the site, and we are grateful for their outstanding consulting services. Additionally, State of Connecticut, DECD, and federal EPA funds allowed for removal of a dilapidated brick building and the transformation of the deteriorating granite mill that you see over there into the soon-to-be ruined structure. They also funded removal of a concerning underground storage tank. Our state and federal partners have walked this journey along with us, and we are truly appreciative of their resources and financial assistance. The involvement of the city's Public Works Department, Pat and Brian, they're out there somewhere, specifically Pat and Brian, have been crucial to this project. From the installation of the off-site parking lot, to the oversight of the brick building removal, the granite building deconstruction, and then the reconstruction into a stabilization of a ruin, working with SLR along every step of the engineered design phase, and then bidding and now construction management. They both willingly and positively participated in every aspect of this park's development. Thank you, guys. I cannot express the extent of appreciation for the passion, commitment, and expertise of Regan Miner. She has been a true and dedicated champion for this project. Her positive attitude, her guidance, her perspective, and stick-to-itiveness has been the glue that kept the whole steering committee together. It kept us on task, and the project was always in the forefront of everyone's mind. Her love for the city and the Mohegan tribe is contagious. City Manager John Salamone has been a supporter of the planning department in our many land use initiatives. He recognized the importance that the city acquire the small parcel of land adjacent to the park to make it whole. It was a small puzzle piece that we needed to own, and he was truly receptive and thoughtful in his approach to build out of the park, and he wanted to not drag it along and fund it piecemeal. Thank you, John. His recommendation to the council to utilize ARPA dollars to complete the park was not only forward-thinking, but it was valiant. The remarkable actions by Mayor Peter Nystrom and the City Council aldermen approving the allocation of the funds needed to complete the park demonstrated their understanding of the importance of preserving the legacy of this site and solidified their commitment to making it a park worthy of generations of Norwich residents and visitors. We commend both John, the mayor, and the City Council for all of their actions moving this forward. As we all witnessed during COVID, people really need amazing outdoor spaces for their physical and emotional health and well-being. When completed, the Uncas Heritage Park will be a safe and beautiful refuge for passive recreation and for reflective contemplation. It is truly a testament to their efforts and to the fortitude and vision of all the people that were mentioned, and also many others who have treasured this property that we are standing on here today. And they will hope that we will always be able to enjoy it and appreciate the significance of this beautiful site. And thank you so much for coming. And this is an amazing turnout. Thank you all. Good morning, all. My remarks are very short.
It's been my absolute pleasure to serve on the Uncas Leaf Steering Committee in my capacity as the Executive Director of the Norwich Historical Society. On a personal note, I am so pleased and so thrilled to see this project finally come to fruition. It's been about 13 years in the process, in the making, so this is so very exciting. So this project ties in with some of the Norwich Historical Society's larger initiatives. NHS has a goal to market Norwich as a heritage tourism destination with the creation of a heritage triangle. The heritage triangle includes various assets in the Norwich Town Historic District, such as the Leffingwell House Museum, with the newly reopened Slater Memorial Museum and the soon-to-be Uncas Leaf Heritage Park as the two bases of the triangle. Years ago, we began our efforts to market Norwich as a heritage tourism destination by creating the Walk Norwich Trails, which are a series of historically themed, self-guided walking trails designed to educate residents and visitors about the rich history of Norwich. The trails offer an interactive experience complete with trail marker wayfinding signage, interpretive signs, brochures, and an online component via walknorwich.org. One of our trails is called the Uncas Leaf Trail, which highlights the Mohegan tribe's rich connection to the city of Norwich. I'd like to thank Stephanie Fielding, Elaine Thomas, and Melissa Tantrikuchin-Zobel for all their help collaborating with the NHS on the Uncas Leaf Trail. I'd also like to thank Beth Regan for leading our guided walking tour that we do every year during Walktober and for participating in our virtual tours during COVID. There's brochures on the table, so please take one on your way out, and please take a look at the two renderings that we have here on display to see what the park is going to look like. I'd also like to give just a quick shout out and thank you to NPU's Simone and Chris Riley for all their help putting this event together as well. So thank you both.
I'll be very brief. I want to thank everybody for being here today. My involvement with this project goes back about 15 years when Councilman Mark Rapp was unable to attend the meeting and asked me to pitch hit. Put the mic on. He asked me to pitch hit for him at CBC. So I got involved in this, and I'm so happy to be here today. Mark, a day that brings the future, like between Mohegan and Norwich, which has been going on since Uncas ran as a 9-mile square that created this city. Thank you for being here.
Okay. We are near the close of the program, and to be honest with you, I kind of got lost in my thoughts earlier when we were talking about the history of our tribe and how faith is a key part of sustaining that history. And so I was going to have Vice Chairwoman Beth Regan speak before anybody to show honor to the tribe, to speak first. But things happen for a reason, and I think this is exactly the right way to close this, by having our Mohegan Tribal Nation close out these remarks by talking about the history of what this site is, what it means to us. To be followed by a blessing by Allison Yantuk Corbin. Yantuk. Wild River. Her given tribal name represents exactly where we're standing today. And then that will be followed by an honor song by our Mohegan Tribal drummers, and then we will turn to her. So ladies and gentlemen, Mohegan Vice Chairwoman, let me try this again. The Vice Chairwoman of the Mohegan Tribal Council of Elders, Beth Regan.
Kevin. And you certainly said about standing on the shoulders of people. I clearly know that we are standing on the shoulders of our Mohegan ancestors today, no doubt in my mind. And I want to give another special shout out to all of the counselors, the elders, but also mostly our Mohegan people here with us today. Please, a wave, Mohegan people. Let's see, thank you to Kaptomayamu. Thank you all for being here today. On behalf of the Mohegan tribe, I do say Kaptomayamu. Thank you all. And you've heard from everyone else about all that went into this, so I'm not going to repeat that. But I do want you to know that what is now known as Norwich, Connecticut, has long been just a portion of the traditional Mohegan land. Our hunting and fishing and traditional places were here. Villages were here, long before European contact. And you know, although breaking ground was not a positive thing in our Mohegan territory, today clearly marks a different vision of that breaking ground and a new beginning. Thank you to our east direction, and a new beginning here, right here, at what is now known as Uncas Leap, what has always been known as Mohegan. So I think that's very important to recognize. Just to give you just a tiny bit of perspective, as you know, the falls here is the place where Uncas left that over that chasm. And we know it might have been a little smaller, but due to erosion today. Not going to get into all of that because I'd like to plug that tour and that walk for people to learn more about it. Okay? Clearly where the river calms itself also was our landing place, where our ancestors brought the deceased and carried them up the ravine to the Royal Mohegan Burial Grounds, where our leaders and their families were interned. So this clearly is hallowed ground. This place where buildings are today were the burial grounds and still hold remains of our people today and their spirits. I think it's important to recognize that. The monument of Uncas is also there, as you know. You can see this place holds very, very special meaning to us. Very, very sacred meaning. So I would like to finish by recognizing the name of this place today, Uncas Leap Heritage Park. That word heritage, clearly Uncas is important, as well as the warriors of Uncas and also our cousin Miantanamo and his warriors as well. Okay, clearly this is an important place. But that word heritage is something you've heard people talk about today. Mohegans always think of life as our circle, connecting that past and present to our future 13 generations. So Regan 13 is a key number for us as well. So it is an opportunity to connect those. It is an opportunity to offer not only our people today, the people all around us, but all Mohegans, all people in this area, to learn about what was here and what will be. So on behalf of the Mohegan tribe, I cannot say Kataptum Tamayamu enough. As we finish, please know that we don't say goodbye. We say Muskanawimu, see you later. Clearly, that is illustrated here today with our tribe. It has not been goodbye, has it? It is we are still here. As we finish, we're going to have a beautiful blessing of this place by one of our Mohegans. I make two requests. Please do not record the blessing in our language, nor the honor song. An honor song, we would not like our honor song recorded. Clearly you can take a picture of the blessing or anything like that, but nothing with our honor song. And then we'll say Muskanawimu. We will see you all later again. So Katap